Welcome to Movao Live, where I interview people from our amputee community to share their personal and empowering life stories. Today, I talk to Sajan, a double above the knee amputee who at 9 years old was playing outdoors and accidentally touched an 11,000 volt cable, a shock strong enough to have killed 6 people and light up an entire street. It's a story of pain and courage and unbelievable strength of someone who has gone on to adapt and thrive, study hard, embrace fitness, and inspire others with his positive mindset. Sajan, thank you so much for being here. We're really excited to hear your story. How are you?
Rebecca, thanks a lot for having me over. I'm good, and thank you for that introduction. It's always a pleasure seeing you.
Oh, thank you. So can you take us back to the very beginning and tell us the start of your journey when your life changed?
Sure. So I'm 32 years old now. So back when I was 9 years old, 2002, I was playing at this parapet in India, and basically I come from a small town called Jalandhar in India, and I was I just got done early from my classes, and I decided to go my father's shop, and I was just playing around, and there were these high potential wires of 11,000 volts, and as I was playing around mistakenly, I touched those wires with my 2 fingers of my right hand, and I instantly lost them, and the sparkles from that touch fell on the grass, and it was actually a haystack, and it caught fire. So, yes, I lost consciousness after that, but the moment I got up, I realized my entire body was on flames, everything around me was burning, and that was a massive, massive electric shock. To put things in perspective, 1,000 volts is enough to light up a big residential complex or more than that. But I was very lucky to have touched it with the right hand and not with the left hand. I had learned this much later in life that had I touched it with left hand, the current would have passed through my heart and I would have died instantly. And before me, about 6 people had died from that very spot. And I was the seventh one to get electric shock and the only one who survived.
Wow.
After that accident, and I was just in third grade, I was a small kid. I was bedridden for um, almost a year and a half. And this was 2002 in India, a very small town where like Google was not a thing. So for quite a while, I did not know prosthetics existed.
Yeah.
And I used to go to office, to school on a wheelchair, and my friends would take me, and it was not even like super accessible. But life had its own ways, and my friends would just pick me up, put me in the class. I
Yeah.
had fun also
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
doing that. Yeah.
So your friends were really supportive of you at the time. Was any of your friends with you at the time, or were you alone when the accident happened?
I was unfortunately alone. And in fact, it was like we were strictly told to not go there. I was naughty kid, and it was just maybe destiny, and I just happened to be in that spot alone.
Yeah. What was life like after the accident for you as a small boy growing up in India? Was it tough, or were people quite accepting of it back then?
I would say life had its own ways of adapting, and that adapting still goes on. So when I lost my legs, I remember this was 3rd March 2002, and I woke up maybe around 7th of March. I was in hospital, and my mother was around me. Uh, my legs were not amputated for the next 21 days because doctors were still trying to figure out if I could be saved.
Yeah.
And So I went through my own cycles of first, I was aware that maybe I won't be able to survive this, and the chances were very thin. But that happened, and for 21 days it was a cycle of continual dressing. I think at that time I was purely in survival mode. Then on 24th March, doctors decided to, just amputate my legs and maybe that would help me. And my parents had not obviously told me because they didn't know how I would react.
Yeah.
Uh, so it was funny, like my mother, like she took me out on wheelchair saying that, we are just going to hang around for a while. And then we met this doctor who gave me this anesthesia. He said, like, you have not taken your medicines, so let me give you this injection right away. And then I slipped into anesthetic mode. And when I got up, I realized, like, I was in bed, I was still very dizzy. And the moment I realized my legs were not there, I was telling my mom that I'm feeling very hot inside. Can you take off these blankets? And I knew that I was out of operation theater. They're taking me to operation theater. And my mom basically asked me, like, promise me one thing, you won't cry if I take off the blankets.
Oh,
I said, okay, I won't cry, but just take these blankets off.
no.
Um, and when she took off those blankets, I was trying to find my legs, like where did it go? I was trying to touch around and try to feel it, but I realized like no, it's not there. But as promised, at that moment at least I did not cry.
Wow. Honestly, that is. Do you think that you would have handled it better if they told you, or were you happy that they didn't tell you and you found out that way? I can imagine that was really tough for you, being so young as well. I can't imagine you having to wake up to that. It must have been so hard.
Yeah, I mean, knowing not knowing would have maybe mattered less. What mattered the most in that very moment, and you talked about you were asking about the change also. I think, I mean, that was one of also a very beautiful time period of my life. Yes, I was in extreme amount of physical pain, but few things really stood by my side, like my family, my friends, and my God. And
Yeah,
my mom would chant prayers sitting by my side. My grandmother would chant prayers sitting by my side throughout night, and can't. And these were the people who were in the room, and there were so many outside in the lobby praying for me. And the connect with God that I felt around that time. I mean, legs, no legs, that matters less. I at least connected with myself, so that matters
yeah.
more.
Oh, that's good. Also, I watched your TED talk and you spoke about, which was absolutely amazing, by the way, so good. I loved it. And you spoke about the moment that you were at home in recovery process, and for the very first time, your mum said to you, you get your own glass of water, and you got your own glass of water, and that moment for you was life changing. Can you explain how that simple act of getting the water really changed your mindset during that time?
Yeah, so that's actually one of the moments that I keep on going back into my life to look back at myself and tell myself that, I'm capable of doing this and there's no dependence that I have. So when I was in recovery mode, I was pretty much dependent. I was peeing in bed, I was pooping in bed, and I was like somebody would come and serve me food. And so my mom, like, one day, I was asking for water and I asked for like, you know, once and she forgot, maybe she was busy with something else. And there's one thing about, I think people with disabilities or people who have to stay in bed, there's a level of agitation that you go through. You're naturally very frustrated. I was a rebel kid. I would like throw things around uh, I was very, very agitated with my disability. So I was, when I say recovering, I was also going through that phase where I was very frustrated of being in bed. And so one fine day, I asked my mother for some water. I asked once, twice, thrice, and maybe she forgot. And I got very irritated about it, and I yelled at her. And then she said, "Why can't you go and get water for yourself? It's not just for me being busy or available or whatever. Of course, I can do it for you, but." You should try. And like I did not have legs. So she said, so what? You don't have legs, you have hands. Why can't you try it out?
That was a bit of
So
tough love, that was, wasn't it, from your mum?
I am built by tough love for
Yeah.
sure. Like it came very handy much later in life.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she, so I basically took pillow and I put it on the floor and I used my hands, jumped on the pillow. Then I crawled my way to the kitchen and there also like my hand would not reach the tap. So I put the pillow, stood on it, got it somehow because at that in that moment I was not thinking of innovating. I was more egoistic and I had to just get it done by myself. But when I could get that water, I realized that, oh, I know what my mom meant by that. And that very act of getting water for myself was very liberating. And then it became a template that, you don't think, you just try to get to the goal. I mean, have multiple iteration, do whatever you want to do. The MBA in me is coming out, but the point is like just try to get to the goal and keep on figuring it out, and you'll hit the mark. So that learning came very, very handy. And after I finished my school, I had to go to college, and the college I wanted to go to was the best one in the country, and it was in Delhi, and I was from Punjab, big town, and my parents were very skeptical about me going to Delhi and living alone, figuring it out, living in
Yeah.
hostel. But thankfully, I think that tough love, Rebecca, that you spoke about,
Yeah.
it came handy then. And I knew like I was capable enough to figure it out. There were a lot of places inaccessible. People were nasty, but I found more good people in life than the nasty ones. So yeah, that love, those
Yeah.
learnings came handy
My
later on.
My mum talked about, because I was born with a limb difference, so I had an amputation when I was 6 years old. So I knew I was having my amputation, but I do still remember now the first moment that I saw it and being such in shock. So when you were telling me that story about not knowing and then waking up, I really, really felt emotional towards that because I've been there myself as well. But my mum tells me stories of when I was really little. I used to ask her if I could stand on my brother's buggy, and she'd always say, "No, you can walk." And she says to me, I felt like, looking back now, I feel so mean for doing that. But at the time, in her mind, she just wanted me to be strong and she wanted me to be independent. And I believe it's helped shape me into the woman that I am today. So sometimes, even though it is really hard for our parents to give tough love, at the time, it was the best thing. So, and as amputees, we all have to adapt, don't we? We have to
Yeah.
learn how to do everything again. So what was your journey like to learning to adapt to new things from the glass of water moment? Did you then, with anything that came your way, would you adapt to do it, and were very strong-minded, may I say, on your journey?
Yeah, so I had to adapt to a lot of things, and I continue to do so in my life. And I mean, from very, very small examples. So, like when I used to go to school, my legs would hurt, and these were not the very advanced Ottobock prosthetics. These were very, I would say, rudimentary kind of setups that I was wearing back when I was child, and again, internet was not a thing back then. I did not have access to better prosthetics. So like, I would take off my legs in classroom or loosen it up a bit and continue to like pursue my education. The adaptation journey continues today as well. So for example, I find it very difficult to grip to a pull-up bar. So since 2021, I was trying to do muscle ups. So it's a movement where you basically puzzle here and then you push. It's a gymnastic movement. But because of my three fingers, I was finding it very difficult to grip, even though I built the strength for that. So I use false grip as a counter mechanism to do that. And there's a lot of adapting that kind of goes in boxing as well. As a prosthetic user, it's very difficult for me to balance during boxing. So if I throw a punch hard, then I know like I'm going to fall because of the counter pressures. The strategy is like I bring my opponent in. I keep on defending, and when I know my foot is against a wall or some or kind of support, that's when I throw a lot of punches. So you get hit, defense, and you know when you will attack, you'll be super
Yeah.
super powerful. Those are the like these are some of the ways I adapt myself in my daily life.
Yeah, I remember a lot of doctors said to me that, well, they said to my mum, because it was in the 80s when I was a kid, that they didn't think that I would be able to do the things that normal children could do, even when it came to things like ride a bike. And they also said, which I think is lack of awareness for the limb difference that I have back then, was that I wouldn't be walking proper. They didn't think that I would be walking over 30. And it's like, here I am, still
I
walking.
think around
Exactly, exactly. So yeah, it is very liberating, but we just have to adapt to everything, really, don't we? And just learn and just take it on, and it's great.
yeah.
What advice would you give to other people out there who, say, have just had a double amputation and they're learning to adapt? What little bit of advice could you give to them to maybe help them on their journey?
So, I would definitely say that there are a few learnings that I had throughout my life. So there isn't a single thing that has been able to stop me. I don't say this from the point of arrogance, but the point of maybe humility rather, and learning that God also like gives you the strength and ways to figure it out. Figuring it out has a lot of power in itself. There are times when I got stuck because there were no ramps. The place was full of stairs, and it was not just these physical barriers, but even people will come and tell you nasty things. Oh, you should not do that. You should not go skydiving. You should not do XYZ because you don't have legs. But having been an amputee myself, there hasn't been anything which I've aspired to do and I have not been able to do because of my double amputation, and that includes jumping as well. Yeah, I won't be able to jump maybe 3 feet or 2 feet high, but yeah, maybe I can jump a little. I can use my upper body force, and in the realm of sensibilities, you are not constrained, at least by worldly means. Like you will have different ways of doing things. Yes, so that's one thing, one lesson. Second, don't get awkward. It's more than physical barriers. It's that social barrier as well, or that you know. Oh, am I limping too much? Am I walking straight? And I used to when I was a teenager, I really had this complex that people around me are gonna judge me for the way I walk. And now I walk around in shorts, but back then I would cover. I even in like summer, I would wear full pants because I did not want people to see my legs. But as I grew up, I realized that no, my legs are sexier than yours. So this has become my status, my fashion statement. I walk around in shorts, airport lounges, like fancy places. I don't quite care what people think. So in fact, if you um is this very beautiful quote from Tyrion Lannister from Game of Thrones. Like never let people tell you like who you are, or always know where you come from and wear it like a badge of honor. And just, I come from that school of thought. Embrace yourself, love yourself. That is going to become your strength.
I love that. And you also said in your TED Talks that your amputation was like being blessed with a new life, which is a really beautiful way to describe something that, would be really, really terrifying to others. How come you see it this way?
In fact, I would not have it any other way. If I were to go back and not and have an option to not to foresee my future and not touch those fires, I would still go ahead and touch it because yeah, it came with a lot of pain, but you know, this life has been very, very beautiful. I got to see the side of things that maybe had I had my legs, I would not have been able to see. Through pain, through the suffering, through understanding, like, hey, I am different, I got unleashed and unblocked on many fronts because now I don't get bothered about pain. I don't get bothered about what people think about me. I have fun this mental model that you are your own barrier. So I don't think these barriers would have been broken had I had those legs. And it brought me closer to the God within. So, yeah, I would still go ahead, touch those wires, live this life the way I'm living. And I'm sure there is more to go.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you were very determined, weren't you? Even like when you were very young to study hard. Even, am I right in thinking this, that not so many were supportive around you of your goals to be like studying hard? How did you, that must have been a really difficult time to stay really strong and focused, and especially when it came to studying at school. And did you have 4 flights of stairs to climb each
Yeah.
day as well?
Yeah, it was actually more than that. And in school, yes, my school was not accessible. My school was kind enough to shift all the classes to this upper ground floor, but
Yeah.
still, it was an upper ground floor. I had to climb all those stairs. And in fact, if I was late for something, my teachers were kind enough to not, and this was back in the day. I don't know if students get punishment these days, but they would make you stand in the assembly. And my teachers were kind to me, okay, like, it's
Yeah.
fine, like we won't punish you. But I deliberately went and said, hey, if I've done something wrong, I'm going to go and stand there. So my mental model was that I am no different from anyone else. At the same time, I'm unique. So
Yeah.
yes, I if so my family and my some of my extended members, like, they were very cautionary if I should go to a big city and study there, like, on my own. Would it even make sense? And then and in India you have to pay for your medical, and it really financially constrained my family as well to pay for these medical expenses, while they were very, very supportive. Some of the unwarranted opinions were that, like, just flash the boy.
Did you get any support after the accident because you touched the wire, or there's no such thing? Is there no such thing as insurances? Were there any medical support that way at all, or did it have to all come from your family?
It all had to come from my family. And in fact, we filed a case against the electricity board for their negligence, but the compensation was very, very meager to came after 12 years and all those things. But so those were definitely the systemic flaws that I wish had not existed. And my journey, I wish, would have been smoother. So I had to carve my own way out. My father spent a lot of money on my medicals, and I was more determined than, I have to go and do something better in life, go to a better college, and just like any other child, I was not going to take it easy.
Yeah. And I guess because you saw your parents doing everything they could to support you financially, that also gave you the strength that you wanted to
Yeah.
succeed in where they've supported you. And you were like, I'm going to do this for you guys as well.
It's a teamwork, and I
Absolutely.
try to share my happy moments with my parents, and nowadays I even share my anxieties with them. Like, guys, you're a part of package, so it all comes together.
Oh, that's so nice. So, how was your rehabilitation journey and learning to walk again?
I think the rehabilitation support was pretty good. The quality of process there is really amazing. My case was a bit
Really?
more, yeah, my case was a bit more complicated because the distal end section is thicker or wider than the mid section of my residual limb. So that makes donning and doffing very difficult. If I go in, like, it would go with some scratches, and then if it's going in smooth, then I would not get the grip. So that always was a challenge. And but I think the quality of procedures work was pretty good. They really helped me, gave me that time and made very quick changes in my sockets. In fact, we would sprint through sockets instead of, having multiple appointments spanning over months. Have a week of sprinting through my socket, and those things used to help. And ever since, like, I've been using C-Leg 4, and this is my second set of C-Leg. And in fact, like I said, the naughtiness of the world is like very, very minimal, but there's a lot of good that exists. My college sponsored my prosthetics. So C-Leg back in India was very, very expensive, and it's not covered in insurance. So my college helped me get my sea legs, and sea legs were totally game changer. After that, I could really go and pursue work in line with my aspirations without getting much constrained with what is or what is not at the bottom.
Yeah, yeah. I remember when we were talking recently, when we were last together on the sea leg webinar, actually,
Yeah.
talking of sea legs, we were talking about when we're out around in a busy city and just walking, and somebody accidentally steps into our pathway when we're walking as an amputee. It's really hard to stop. And you were
Yeah.
telling me about the time that when you were learning to walk, that as a double amputee, something I'd never even really thought about, being a single leg amputee, I have the other leg to help me stop, that you had to learn to stop again. And it was quite a funny story.
Yeah, I would title it as unstoppable. So if as a double amputee, it's very difficult to I won't say difficult, but at least it was not as intuitive to apply brakes on hydraulic. So I remember when I was practicing, I would continue to walk and walk and walk, and I would just go and just hold the wall then to stop, and then turn around and then again start walking. So that used to be funny. My doctor was like, "Why are you doing that?" I'm like, "Because I can't stop." And mm,
So you'd walk and you'd purposely have to walk towards a wall so that you could
yeah,
stop yourself.
imagine like going and shaking hands with someone, just using the time to stop.
Yeah, I think you were saying as well that you'd crash into your friends quite a lot. Obviously, they were there, they knew and understood, but you were
Yeah.
saying that you'd accidentally crash into them.
Yeah, but I think with practice that got a lot better. Oh,
Yeah.
I can stop easily if even in crowded spaces. So it's gotten much better.
So, what would your advice be to other double amputees learning to stop? Walk towards the wall.
Definitely don't do that. It's a it's a gradient approach.
Yeah,
So just try to like slow your speed and then
yeah,
maybe just hold the wall and then slowly you can work on your speed. Slowly you'll reach a point. You just have to practice, iterate a lot of times, and then it
yeah.
becomes a learning loop as well.
When did you decide to, because you're a huge fitness advocate now, when did you start incorporating this into your life, and how has this impacted your mobility and the things you can now do?
Thank you for bringing that up. I think it's something I'm very passionate about. So back in 2016, so I'd gone to Golden Temple in Amritsar, and so essentially it's a temple and you have to just walk around that temple. So I realized that I could not even finish one round, and it was not good. My legs were paining. I had gained a lot of weight, so that stuffing against my socket, or the skin stuffing against my socket, that was painful, a bit of heartburn as well. And I was 23 back then. So it didn't make any sense. And I realized that, hey, I need to like start working on this. And because nowadays there's a lot of social media to tell you that you can do it. But back then it was still very limiting. I did not have enough examples around me that telling me that, hey, even if you have this ability, you have all the more reason to work out. So 2016 is when I realized that I need to work on my fitness. And I started with very minimal workouts in bed, like some stretch bands, 2 kg dumbbell with shoulder movements, very, very minimal. And I was still in bed. And slowly I started to understand that, hey, I can do more, I can do more, I can do more, I can do this exercise as well, I can do that as well. Of Recently, I never thought I would be able to do deadlifts because I normally would struggle to pick things from the floor, and deadlift is deadlift.
Yeah.
So and that journey continued when I realized I should try deadlift, and I should um practice that as well. And it's a funny story also how I figured out that I can do deadlifts is because I booked some class at the gym that I go to, and the class involved doing deadlifts. Now, when the coach said, "Okay, now you're doing deadlifts," everybody was down, and I was just looking around. Okay, like what do I do now? So I just did like very bare barbell deadlift, and then slowly I started adding weight to it. I figured my way out. So accidentally, I learned to do deadlifts as well, and same for muscle ups now because the way my body is structured, like I don't have legs, so there's nothing that is going to push me for a pull up. So I had to do very strict slow pull-ups, and slowly I had to learn my way. And not having the grip on the hand also was not particularly an advantage. So I had to do a lot of adapting on the go. Yeah, coming back to 2016, I realized that okay, I need to work out. And slowly, when I started to work out, it was a revelation. I was able to walk longer. I was able to put on my legs for longer hours. My posture improved. I could sit without any back pain, and I could wear my legs for longer hours. And in fact, it used to be drudgery until then to wear prosthetics throughout the day, sit in classroom or office. But when I started my fitness journey, I started to actually enjoy wearing my prosthetics and
Yeah.
go about my day.
Yeah, when I was managing a fitness program for limb power charity called Revamp, a lot of the amputees who would partake in this, it's a 12-week fitness program for amputees and people with limb difference. And one of the biggest benefits that they would all have is that they just couldn't believe how much more mobile and confident and walking on their prosthetics were. And fitness as an amputee, or for anyone really, learning how to do fitness moves and everything, but especially for us amputees, it is sometimes you get given a move and you think, say, for example, the deadlift, and you're like, I don't think I can do it. But the more repetitive you keep trying at it, it's remarkable how our bodies just learn to adapt, and we find our own way, don't we? We always do. It's really, really good. How did you find going to the gym when you started going? Was it quite inclusive for you? Did they help you a lot?
Yeah, this was actually a challenge initially. So I went to this gym in Bangalore, and they said like, "Hey, we don't have any license to train people with disabilities, and we don't know." And this was the reception person at the reception. I'm sure like they got more intimidated by having a person with disability in the gym than the person with disability being in the gym. So I spoke to the head coach, Rishabh Tilang, and he's, I think, a great fitness coach back in India. So I spoke to him, and he said that, look, I have not trained with people with disabilities in the past, but let us figure this out. So he started giving me, and we both learned together. So
Yeah,
he started modifying the workouts for me. So if I could not do like full burpee, we would do half burpee,
yeah,
and that journey continued with my coaches back in my hometown as well. So the core idea was that do the movement. If you can't do it fully, maybe just dial it down, or maybe figure an alternate movement, but hit every body part as you go along. And in fact, for first year and a half in my journey, I would not do lower body workouts because I'm a bilateral, like knee amputee. So initially, it did not occur to me that I also need to work on my lower body. But the moment I started to like work on my lower body as well, things with my prosthetics really started to change a lot. So yeah, gyms were not equipped. to do this to handle my disability needs, but I had to do a lot of adapting on my own. And even now here in London, I go to this gym called Third Space in Canary Wharf. It's supposed to be accessible, but it is not. So I can't go to the gym floor on a wheelchair.
Yeah. I think
But
a lot
people,
of
yeah,
gyms say these days that they're accessible and their only tick box is a disabled toilet.
yeah, yeah, and that too. Funny part is
It's not
you
good.
have
It's
to
not
climb
good.
stairs. Yeah, you
Oh,
have
it's
to
not
climb
good.
stairs to be in that
I
washroom.
know.
So it's just funny.
No, it's really bad, isn't it? I know a lot of changes have been made, which is great, but there's still more that need to be done. So hopefully, as time
Yeah.
goes on. So do tell us all about your boxing passions now. How did this start and how is it helping with your mindset and inner strength?
I started boxing a couple of years ago, and yeah, I just happened to book a class. Never thought I would be able to do boxing as much because back when I was a kid, like I would just stand on my wheelchair, punch the punching bag, and yeah, that was all about boxing. Here I realized that maybe I let me figure it out, and a lot of figuring out has paved a lot of ways in my life. Initially, I would fall down a lot because, like I mentioned, if I throw a punch, then there is a counterbalance. I need to maybe hold a ball and then punch, and then by the time it's done for. So it was a beautiful learning journey. One thing I realized was that I have to adapt, and my ways of doing things are going to be very, very different from other people. So, for example, like a lot of boxers, they basically counter and punch, counter and punch. I can't instantly do that because if I do that, I know I'm going to lose my balance. So my focus is largely to keep on defending, and then protect my core and try to keep myself stabilized. And once I see a spot that I would throw like lesser punches, but those are bigger punches.
Mm.
So the net job is the same. Then a lot of like I mentioned, I used to fall down a lot while boxing. So I also had to do a lot of counter balancing that really helped me with my core. If a person with like yeah, the audience here is people who have amputation, your core is really, really important. And for me, working on my core gave me a lot of stability as well. Boxing helped a lot with core building core stability as well. So and with the mindset as well. Now boxing, I feel a lot more confident going out and carrying more weight, and I feel more confidence, and it's and in fact I'm no longer at just base mediocre level. I'm headed towards advanced level of boxing. The core learning is your ways are going to be unique to you, and you have to figure it out on your own.
Yeah. So how long have you been doing boxing for then? Is it a
About
while
two
or
years.
2 years? Is there many other amputees out there who do boxing, or is it quite no,
No, I'm
not
the
so
only
many?
one in I have noticed people trying to go soft on me, not throw punches at me, but I deliberately go out and go full swing. And that helps me with my training. So yeah, I usually, at least the places that I go to, I'm the only amputee in the class, but I'm hopeful that there are other
Yeah,
boxing rings where people with disabilities go.
yeah. I have seen there's a guy called Caleb from South Africa. He's been doing some boxing and a few other people who live in America, but obviously you see them on social media.
Yeah.
Not in our immediate areas, but yeah, so it must be something that is becoming more popular with our community. So that's good.
So just from that one, I think we need to add a lot more in that domain because people with disabilities, especially in boxing, they can learn a lot from each other. Your ways are different. So if there's any community that can be formed for this, it should be like super, super helpful.
Yeah, and I would imagine, as you said, I know as well, having a strong core is extremely important for an amputee's mobility. So boxing really, really focuses on the powerhouse, the
Yeah.
core. So yeah, it's going to be a great sport to take up to improve mobility. Yeah, so huge congratulations. You so recently got married. What's married life like for you?
It's been thank you for that. Like it's been fun, I would say. Like my partner is very supportive uh, and it was very funny. So I asked her like, and this was an arranged marriage, like an Indian arranged marriage. So I asked her like, hey, I don't have legs, and this is like my disability, and I was always very skeptical to have that conversation. Even as a kid, I would always imagine, oh, what am I going to tell my partner, and this
Oh.
dating and relationships and disability, it is a bit of at times like you feel I felt that pressure like am I good enough, am I complete, and so on and so forth. But when I asked her this question, she said like the way I look at it is like we complete each other.
So beautiful.
I was sold.
So,
So
and our
yeah,
physical form doesn't matter. It's all about the soul and the connection anyway. So, yeah,
exactly.
I love that. I love that. And yeah, one question for you now. If you could go back and give yourself some advice, 9-year-old Sajan, after the accident, just some advice of encouragement. What would you say to him after everything that you'd learned to help him on his journey?
I would definitely go back and tell this sergeant that, don't live in anticipation of things. Sometimes, like, God has even better plans for you than what you imagine for yourself. And a lot of time that we spend worrying about future, about inner anxiety. I took a lot of pressure than I should have to get a better job, validate myself in the society. I took a lot of pressure on that front as a kid, even in my early adult life. I think, yeah, if I could go back, I could have avoided that. Would have still done what I've done.
Yeah, yeah. One thing for me, if I could go back, I would tell myself to go for all the things that I really, really wanted to go for. But obviously, I didn't have the confidence at the time to do it because of not feeling so confident with my limb difference and everything. But anyway, finally, do you have any big goals coming up professionally or in your fitness that you are excited about?
And in fitness, I would say I definitely want to uh, do London Marathon sometime.
A
Uh,
marathon.
yeah, London Marathon.
Wow.
I have been stalling it over the last 2 years because I have, yeah, just been busy professionally, but I really want to take it up, do my London Marathon, and even run on blades. I have sea leg. I don't have a set of blades. I want to get these blades and get running sometime. I can't wait to feel that adrenaline.
You know what? I bet you do it as well. I
I
reckon you
really
will,
want to.
100%. Did you see everybody doing it this year? Quite a lot of people
Yeah,
were doing it on crutches.
yeah, it was beautiful. I hated being a bystander, and I did not want to just that I really wanted to be out there in the field and do it.
I
Uh,
know.
but yeah, next year, hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I hope you get your place and I hope to see you cross the finish line. After seeing lots of people do it this year, especially those on crutches, because when we play amputee football, we're on crutches. So I did get that feeling. You know what? Maybe I'll enter the London Marathon, but I tell you what, I can't get much further crutch runs than 5 kilometers. I don't think I can do what is it, 37 kilometers, something like that, that the
Yeah,
London Marathon
it's
is. It's
yeah.
crazy. 42. Oh my goodness, it's so good. But yeah, I can definitely see you doing that. Good luck with it all. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Sajan, for being here today. It's been really lovely talking to you. Thank you to everyone watching. And if you like today's interview, please do comment and like. And we hope to see you again next time. Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca.